Hi, I'm Radhakrishnan. This is a video tutorial on the topic spatial data handling with R. And this tutorial is intended for the beginners in R. I hope it will be useful for postgraduate students, research scholars, and those who have some familiarity with GIS but they have not yet started to work on scripting on any other language like R or Python yet. We will begin with some basic concepts like what is R. R is a software environment and programming language for statistical computing and graphics, and it has core functionality to read and write files, manipulate and summarize data, run modeling techniques, and make very appealing visualizations. Recently, it has become very popular across data analysts in various fields from agronomy to bioinformatics, finance, geography, psychology, pharmacology, and it works on multiple platforms. It is available as free software and it is maintained by Comprehensive R Archive Network, popularly known as CRAN. A brief history of R is like it's an implementation of S programming language. It was created by Rose Laka and Robert Gentleman in the University of Auckland. It was first released in 1993. The current version is 3.6.3. Apart from the core functionality of R, you can install a lot of packages. Packages are small plugins developed for a specific domain for a specific kind of analysis. And there are currently over 15,500 packages that are available to download and maintained by CRAN. And regarding the use of R for spatial data, it has an increasing number of packages for handling and analyzing spatial data, including vector and raster and NetCDF advanced multidimensional data models. And each package has classes and methods for spatial data analysis. Class specifies a structure and defines how spatial data are organized and stored. So class is a blueprint of an object. And under each class there will be methods that are very specific to that particular class. These are instances or functions specialized for a particular class. And regarding the spatial operations, SP is a central package supporting spatial data analysis. You will find huge number of packages that can be used for basic operations as well as advanced analytical operations, even modeling, how you can combine machine learning with spatial data. All these kinds of new innovative techniques are you can find them in new packages. And why use R for special applications? Because it has great flexibility and scalability. It extends the functionality of normally what you see in the GIS softwares. You can automate tasks and it can facilitate integration of latest modern techniques. So the prerequisites for this video tutorial is you have to download R from rproject.org website, www.r-project.org, and RStudio. You can download it from https://rstudio.com. So R is the core software package and RStudio is the GUI part of it, the front end part of it. So basically we will be working with the interface of RStudio, but whenever you execute a command or assign a variable, actually it will invoke the R which will be running from behind. So this is the R project website. From here you can download R, and this is RStudio. You can Google it and you will find the RStudio. You can download RStudio from the website. We will move on to the R. So this is the RStudio interface, and this part is the script window. This is where you write the script, and this is called console. You can even type the commands here, console, but when you type in a command and execute from here, the commands are not saved. You will just see the commands and the result scroll through the console. But in the script window, if you are writing a code, that can be saved as a .r file, which can be used in future. And this is another pane which has 3 tabs: environment, history and connections. Whatever variables we are assigning here and the objects we are calling, those will be displayed here. And here you can see the file structure of the machine. Then you can see the plot, whatever visualization we are making in the R, it will be displayed here. And this is the list of packages, and there is a help. Whenever there is some doubt regarding a class or a function, you can just type in here and search the syntax, what is the usage pattern of that. And now, to begin with, we will first see the basic operations of R, then we will move on to the spatial data applications. As far as the data types in R are concerned, the most simplest data structure is called vector. It has either one or more values of the same type. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to assign a value. So to begin with, let us assign one value. Now the value is 2, and I'm going to assign the value of 2 to a variable called d. And for assigning that, I am using this arrow symbol, and less than plus the hyphen. When I use the less than symbol with hyphen, it is a indication for assignment. So this 2 is assigned to the variable d. You can see the cursor location. So the cursor is in the second line. This is where, and whenever you use a hash command, that is a comment actually. This is only used for giving an information. This is not treated as a command for R. So it will skip this line. This is only for the communicating why I am doing this, some information about the code. So the command is skipped. Now I'll run. So in order to execute this line, it takes the cursor line where the cursor line is, and that line is executed when I click run. This is assigned to the d variable. Now I want to see what is stored in d. So I'll use print within brackets variable d. So the variable is always typed within brackets. Now you can see that the variable 2 is. Now if I want to use more than one value, I can use a function called C. C stands for combine or concatenate. So I differentiate the values with comma. I complete my bracket, and then I'll again run it. Now I'll print d. You can see that these values are, so the similar values are stored in vector. The vector is the most simple data structure in R. And there are several other possible ways, like if I want to store numbers ranging from 5 to 15 at an interval of 1. So I can do like this, and then print v. You can see the values from 5 to 15 are. The next thing is about if you have two vectors with the same data types and the same number of components, same number of members. So 3, 8, 4, 5, 0, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values are here. So let us store that. And I have another vector with again 6 values but different values. If the number of members are equal in both vectors, I can do mathematical operations. I can add 2 vectors and see the result. So you can see that these are added together. So this is about the vector manipulation. The next higher order data type is a matrix. Matrix is an array of multi-dimensional objects. Say for example, so it will essentially it will have rows and columns. It will have different rows. So like this. Here I am specifying how many number of rows should be there. So the matrix can also be stored in a variable. So this one is matrix 1 is a variable name, and I am storing this into the matrix, and I am adding two matrices. So I'll get like this. So this is matrix operations. The next type of data type is list. The difference with the list data type is that it can hold mixed data objects. Like you might have heard about a phrase called comparing apples and oranges. So it can hold numbers, strings, logical operators or decimal values. So it will accept different types of data types. Now the most important data type is data frame, which we will be quite often using it. It will store the data not only in rows and columns but with column names, just the way we use spreadsheets. So we know that for various earth science and environmental science analysis, we will be collecting data from the field. Sorry. So if it has a spreadsheet type of data, it can be stored as a data frame in R. So for a demo purpose, I am going to store number 1 to 4 as integer. So I am using this function. I am enforcing that this should be saved as an integer, and it is stored in a variable called id. So remember, there are 4 items, 1 to 4, 4 items. Now next thing is I am going to combine 4 text string names. So since this is a string, I am using single quotes differentiated by comma, and 4 strings, concatenating it and saving as name variable, and I am saving as a factor, as a single letter factor as gender in variable name gender, and a numerical value as age. Now what I am going to see, since all these variables have got 4 components each, 4 members each, I am creating a data frame by combining these 4 variables. So that way I will create a data frame. So now this is single object. Now you can see that from 4 objects I have created a single data frame object. Now if you want to see what is the class of D, that means how D is stored in R, which class it is used, the data is using. So in order to see that, you type class within that bracket variable name, it will tell you it is stored as a data frame. Now we will move on to the special applications of R, and we all know that the postgraduate geography students or research scholars or people working in environmental science or civil engineering or life sciences, even agriculture sciences, we will be handling a lot of spatial data. Spatial data are data tagged to locations. This will have essentially two columns specifying the geographic coordinate from where this data is collected. It will be in geographic coordinates such as latitude and longitude, or maybe in projected coordinates in meters as easting and northing. And in order to handle this kind of data, you need a package. Means the core R, the native R, cannot handle the spatial data. So you need to have a package installed into the R which will help you to handle the spatial data. So the first library which I am going to use is called RGDAL, and in order to install the library, you have to come here, tools and install packages, and here you have to type RGDAL. DAL. So this listing comes and you select it and make sure that you are connected to the internet, because it is going to directly download the package from the CRAN repository. So it must be connected to the internet. Then you can click install. I am not clicking install here because I have already installed for my session, because a library package should be installed only once for your library. Once in a while you have to keep updating it, maybe in 6 months or 1 year down the line you have to keep updating your packages, otherwise you have to install the package only once. Alternatively, you can install packages from the command line. Say this is the command. If you take out this hash line, it becomes command for R. Install packages within bracket. Install.packages is the command name. Within bracket, within quotes, the package name, comma, dependencies is equal to true. Because most of the time when you install one package, there may be several dependent packages. So if you click dependency is equal to true, it will automatically pull those dependencies also from the CRAN repository and will install it. And repos means from which mirror. If there is a mirror of, if you don't want to download directly from the CRAN, there will be mirror servers from where you can download it. So that is about installing the packages. Once it is installed, it may take 1 minute to several minutes depending on the number of dependencies and your bandwidth speed. And once that library is installed, you will see this prompt again, this greater than simple prompt again. Once the cursor is coming here, you see the button in the console as a last line. You can assume that the process is over and it is the waiting, the software is waiting for you to give the next instruction. Now we will start working. The first thing you have to do is the type of analysis or processing which I am going to do. I will have to find out which package is suitable. This you have to do little research in the net. For this particular case, we are very sure. If you are not sure about which package you have to use, you have to do a little research on the Google internet. So in this case, I am quite sure that for the kind of works I am going to do, RGDAL is the package which I need. So I will write library within brackets RGDAL. That will invoke the library that is already being installed in the system. It will invoke in the sense that it will make available, the library will be made available for the current session. And I am executing the first line. It will, so this command you can ignore because this command is coming from here. That means I have typed in so that you will be able to understand what for what purpose this command is for. So actually this is being replicated here. Whatever I typed here is replicated here. Let us demonstrate this. If I do like this, you will see only the instruction. Now I'll move on to the next package, library tmap. So for this demonstration, I'm using only two packages. The first package is for handling the spatial data. The second package, tmap, is for creating a thematic map. Now the next thing is you have to set a working directory, because my data is here in RSpatial and MapMaster and Kerala data. This is the data I am going to use. So this is the folder structure here. If you are using a Windows machine, your file path may be like this. And remember, when I copy in Windows, you go to a folder, right click it, properties. When you click the properties, you will see the path and you can copy it here. Only change you have to do is in Windows it will be /, but when you take it to the R, you have to make sure that it is all the forward slashes are made to backward slash, because that's the norm, that's the rule here. The path has to be differentiated by the backward slash. So if it is if you're going to work in a Windows machine, this is the command you have to use. Set working directory, and your path may be different, and you have to modify the path according to your machine physical locations. Since I am using the Mac machine, there's a slight difference. I'll use this sign for, so I'm running it. The advantage of setting working directory is that you don't have to go and change the path every time. So this is being fixed for the current session. Now within the working directory which I set, which is map master, within map master I have another folder called Kerala data, KER-data, and my data is within this kerala.shp. This is the data I am going to load. As you all know, shapefiles are multiple associated files. It's called georelational model. It will have several associated files, and you have some of them as mandate files and some of them are optional files. So this set belongs to one shapefile. Now up to map master I have set the working directory. So there's a folder inside map master. The data is inside KER-data. So my command will be a variable name, assignment symbol, and the function read OGR. Remember, all the variable names, library name and function name in R are case sensitive. So I have to type like this only, READ small letters, OGR in caps letters. If you have any doubt on how to use this, what are the parameters I should give, you can come to help here and type read OGR. That will automatically give, and it says that read OGR is a function that is available within RGDAL package. So that also you can see. Then you can see the description, how the usage, what is the usage, what are the parameters. Some of the parameters are mandate, some of the parameters are optional. So that also an explanation is given, and even there will be an example, how they have used it for. There will be an example somewhere in this which you can let me check. Yeah, this is here, read OGR. They're storing it in CT. So this is the example. Here I am using the function, and DSN is the folder name where your shapefile is residing. So my folder name is Kerala-data. I have to only give Kerala-data because the parent folders, the path is already set in the setting working directory. So I'll start from the folder name within the maps master folder name. Suppose if I have not used it, I have not set my working directory, then I have to give the full path here. I have to just tell where the shapefile is residing, and within layer equals within quotes Kerala. Next time when you work on a different shapefile, the same command you can use. You can change the variable name if you want. Give read OGR, DSN equals within quotes, give your folder name, layer equals quotes, give the file name of the shapefile without the extension. You don't have to give that dot shape here, just file name. Let me execute this. So it is successfully executed, and it says OGR data source with driver S3 shapefile. Source is this, layer name with 14 features and 2 fields. Now I want to see the shapefile. I want to plot the shapefile. I'll use the command plot variable name. I can see the I'm not sure whether my video is obstructing the view. So you can see the plot here. Now you know that this KER is a shapefile loaded into R. Now let us see what is the class is called, how this is saved in R. So I have to type class KER. So it is saved as spatial polygons data frame. So this is the class type. This is the blueprint. So the shapefile Kerala is saved as a spatial polygon data frame in R, and the package which uses is SP. If you remember, I have not called SP package directly, I have called only RGDAL. That means SP is a dependency package of RGDAL. When you call RGDAL, SP is also loaded into this. So that will take care of the classes. Now for the shapefile, it will have attributes also. Now it is spatial polygons data frame. So for the SP object, it will have attribute also. Now you want to see the column names of the attributes. So you have two attributes. The first one is district and other is ID. Now if you want to see the attribute table, you have to give KER @ and you click data. Now it will give the attribute table of KER. Now if you want to see the coordinate system which is used for the object, you just type proj for string within brackets KER. That will tell you what is the, so this is WGS84, geographic coordinate system with datum as WGS84. Now I have a CSV file with me which is here. So this CSV file, I have pulled some data from the web which has district wise confirmed number of confirmed cases of COVID. For each district, what is the number? So I have this data saved as a CSV file. CSV stands for comma separated value. You can use any spreadsheet to create a CSV file. You just structure your data in spreadsheet into rows and columns, and the columns should have the header information, the column names, and once you have this structure you can save it as a CSV file. And CSV file is a popular file for managing scientific data. That means almost all the software will support CSV. It's a common data spreadsheet kind of data format. So I am going to read that CSV file into a variable in R session. I'll use the command read.csv. This is the command, and then within quotes, here it will be slightly different because this is coming from a different package. The previous one was coming from RGDAL, and this read CSV is from the native function of R. So the usage will be slightly different, and within quotes you have to give the folder name with file name with extension, and head is equal to true means it will take the column name also. We are ensuring that column names should also be included in that. Here also you don't have to give the full path because working directory is set with maps underscore whatever date master. So I'm writing this, I'm running this command, and now I want to see the column names. So I'll give names within bracket variable name, And if I want to see the data, I will just type the variable name. So you will get the variable name with header information. So you can see the with header information. And now many times when you work with GIS, you will have a GIS file, a polygon file or point file or line file, and you will have some external table which you might have collected from your field study. Now you want to combine these two. You want to combine data collected from the field to spatial data. Now I have a spatial data containing 14 districts for Kerala. This is the spatial data I have, and I have a CSV file. This is a separate CSV file that is having the list of districts with a numeric column that contains total confirmed cases of COVID patients per each district. And only one thing you have to make sure that the IDs in this CSV file and the IDs in the shape files are matching. What I mean is, if Kasaragod has an ID of 1 in CSV file, in the shape file also you have to make sure that the Kasaragod district has an ID of 1. So this you have to interactively see and check and make sure. Once they are cross checked, cross validated, and if they are matching, then you can go ahead with merging this data with the Kerala. Before we do this, let us check once again. So this is the data the CSV file is holding. Now it is no more CSV, because when you take the CSV into R, the data type or class type of COVD is a data frame. Now we will go to Kerala @data. We will just see Kerala @data. So here also you have district ID and this is the sequential number. So this is all I have in my attribute table of the shape file. Now I am going to merge this. So the command is, you give a variable name. I am calling it as cov.ker, arrow sign for assigning, and the function is merge within the bracket to which data you are going to merge. That is the target data. So target data is KER, and which data you are going to consume for merging. So that is the COVID data, and what is the common key there, which value you are taking as a common key. So you give an option called by equals within single quotes ID. Let us execute this. So that is also successfully completed. Now we will see the data. Now it says it's part of the spatial polygon data frame. So for spatial polygon data frame, if you want to check the data, you have to use @sign, because it's a S4 type object. So now you will see the data here. Now you can see that the both data are combined, and it is part of a spatial polygon data frame. That means part of a map now. It's part of the geographic data now. Now, if it is part of the geographic data, if the geographic data, the geometry, you have a geometry and as well as associated attribute here, why can't we create a thematic map, choropleth map with this data? So this is where I'm going to use the second package which I loaded in the beginning, called tmap. So tmap, once you load that tmap, those commands will be made available for the session. So I'm using the command here. You see I'm not going to assign the variable for this command, because I'm not going to store it. Instead I'm going to straight away use this command for visualization. So the result will come here in the plot. Now what I'm going to do here is, I'm saying that for this type of function, I'm going to use the newly combined data, which is a polygon data frame. I'm using cov.ker. I'm using the command tm shape plus I'm going to add elements. I'm going to use the polygons within that. So every time I use a command within the tmap, they have structured the commands like tm underscore and the tm underscore polygons within bracket which column I'm going to use it for shading. So this is the column I'm going to use for shading. And what is the title you should have? The title is, the elements are separated by comma and the column names are given in single quotes. The COL is the parameter name. This is a must access. COL is the must. You have to give that. COL equals the name of the column in single quotes, comma, title equals, this is from the command, within quotes, this I have typed in, what's the title, and palette. I have taken the number. Normally what you do is, if you go to the browser and you say brewer.pal, or you'll get the codes. You will get the code of the color pattern which you are using. So my net, yeah, here it is. So if you see here, you have a color palette with a specific value for the palette. So you just click the image and find out which shade do you think is suitable for your visualization. You copy that name and put it here. And tm text, that means I want to text the polygons district with district and with a size, and I mention a color, the BGR color code, and I want to put the scale bar, tm underscore scale bar, where I want to position the scale bar. So I'm going to put it in the right top because legend will be coming on the left side. And tm layout, the legend width, and they're giving some different map styles. So I'm taking, if you click the command tm polygon in the help, you can see the usage. If you click the tm polygon here and see the usage, you can take so it will give you the options. It's a huge options available there. You can use your artistic skills to design a good map. So with tmap style is equal to color blind, and I just run it. Let me just make the plot window little bigger, and you can see that the cursor can be placed anywhere in the line. It need not be at the end of the line always, it can be anywhere in the line. And then just click run. A beautiful map, thematic map will be created. If you click the zoom, you can see the map here, and you can export this map as an image from here, export button. You can save it. So this session was a primer on how to take in the spatial data and combine the spatial data with an external table and create a thematic map using a column that has been pulled from the external table. I hope it was useful for you, and so this is my email ID. If you think that this session was useful to you and you need the code, whatever I have written, you can mail me. You can send a mail to this email ID. I will send you the code which I have demonstrated here. Thank you so much.